Hey Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. A little more than a year ago, I started my video blog in response to the Michael Brown shooting. I wanted to show the research I had been doing for more than a year prior, showing how the media codes their stories. And if you can learn to understand that coding, you can reveal the agenda that is behind it. And since making those videos more than a year ago, I've done several videos documenting all the stories in between that are coded with these racially charged numbers, which reveal the race war that the media is trying to build. These numbers are coded into the phrases Black Lives Matter, even names such as Shaun King, Rachel Dolezal, and more. If you watch this video from start to finish, you will have all the skills I am teaching by the end, and you will have a greater understanding of what is being done in this world. Before we get to the decoding and watching the mainstream media, I want to make the point that if you ever see a group of very young children playing together of different races, you will notice that these children, they'll fight over many things, but they'll never fight over their race. They're unaware of their own race. They're unaware of the race of the children around them. It's a non-issue. And I think for we adults, race would be a non-issue as well if we weren't constantly reminded of our racial differences, which is so often done by this mainstream media that has taught so many people to hate and divide over senseless things, from race to religion to sex to political party. It's all by design, Truth Seeker. It's all waged by this media very purposefully. Let us begin this post by watching the mainstream coverage. Later in the video, I'll show you how these numbers are coded even on Don Lemon, the anchor, as well as Shaun King, and more. Here we go, Truth Seeker.
I have tremendous respect for the work that he's done. But when if you hold yourself up to something that is not what you claim to be, then that's a problem if you're a leader. Now, I'm not saying that he's doing that, but that is what's in question now, and that's why this story is newsworthy. Here's what he said to me. So I asked him about it because there are all these claims about him, whether he's black, white, biracial, right. Or whether was there a civil hate crime that happened to him back in 1995. And I said to him last night, I said, what would you like to convey? And he said, number one, this attack isn't about me so much, but about derailing Black Lives Matter and the movement against police brutality. And he said, number two, the reports are all lies. I tried hard to debunk them, and others have said that they are lies as well. And then he said, I will speak soon. And I asked him specifically, I said, are you legally black? Are you legally white? Or are you biracial? Are you black or white? He says, I am biracial. And I said, is that what it is on your birth certificate? He did not answer. So, and that's a tough part because no one can defend you like you can defend yourself, right? And it's not our role to defend him. I know people are upset saying, why does it matter? Why does it matter? It mattered for Rachel Dolezal, who was excoriated in the media because people said,
who had to leave her post at the NAACP.
And who did great work for the NAACP, raised thousands of dollars, helped a lot of people. Shaun King has done the same thing, and it's a little bit odd to many people because the reaction is different among some, because maybe he's a part of the Black Lives Matter movement, but also women are saying it's sexist because why didn't you not accept Rachel Dolezal?
See how they do it, Truth Seeker? Even within the story that's focused on racial division, they have to bring in the elements of sexual division as well.
But you're accepting Shaun King.
I think this is also just bubbling up, so we'll see where it goes. I do want to read this to our viewers, though, because this is what Shaun King's wife, Ray, posted on Facebook today. She wrote, regarding his race, he has never lied, not once. His story is beautifully difficult and painful, and I've actually encouraged him to tell it publicly because it's a unique expression of this country's sordid and ridiculous history with race. But it's his story to tell on his own terms when he is ready to tell it out of respect for his mother. There could be so much more
let me tell you
at
that.
play
Okay,
here.
so this is from the very beginning. I've known that this is probably the case, but I can't tell his story for him. I can only report the facts. So, and as I said to him, and I won't tell you what his response was, but I sent him a text this morning, and I said, and this is a very honest moment that I didn't practice. Let me see if I can find my text to him. I said, I say that because I was texting him this morning to tell him that I appreciate him considering coming on and giving me the statement for last night. And I say that because I empathize with you. I said, I don't care what color you are. I said, my mom is mixed. I grew up in a small racist town. My mom had an affair with my dad, who was not her husband, and I am the product of that relationship. People called me a bastard. They called me the N-word. They called me high yellow, half white, blah, 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 on and on. And I said, so peace to you. I understand that. So it doesn't mean that the person who is on your birth certificate is necessarily
Your father.
But I can't tell that story for him. It's up to him to tell that story. If that is whatever the case may be.
Right, which we don't know.
And it's nothing to be ashamed of, because it happens to a lot of people. I wrote about it in a book, and it was very liberating for not only me, but for my entire family.
So take us back to 1997, right? He's 15 years old. He's in school. He's talked about this multiple times and has witnesses who point to him being attacked, whether it was by a group or by a singular person being attacked. His wife says she was there for the surgeries that he had to endure after he was beaten. Another person reportedly saw the assault. The fact is, does it matter if he's black or not?
It doesn't
if
matter.
he was attacked for being perceived to be.
That's not the point. The point is that he said it was a hate crime, one of Kentucky's first hate crimes. The officer, the detective who investigated it said that's not so. The police report doesn't show it as a hate crime. So I think that's why people are so concerned about it. Now, his family did tell us, CNN Tonight, that it was racially motivated, they believe, because he was white and dating a black woman who is now his wife. So, was it a racist attack according to them? Yes. Was it a hate crime? The evidence doesn't seem to point that way.
All right, Truth Seeker. So there was the mainstream coverage. Shaun King, the person accused of being white, the leader of Black Lives Matter, he has been a daily contributor to the Daily Kos since September 2014. And just yesterday, he put out this statement about his race and his background. Let's just read the beginning of this, and then I want to show you the connection between Daily Kos and Black Lives Matter. So he wrote, over the past 72 hours, I have been attacked with lies by the conservative media, lies that have been picked up by the traditional media and spread further. I have kept silent at the advice of friends and mentors, but I will do so no longer. So with regards to him saying the conservative media, I just want to point out that Daily Kos is a liberal publication, and conservative versus liberal is another ridiculous thing that we divide ourselves over for no reason. Because in this nation where so many people claim to be liberal and so many other people claim to be conservative, what it seems all these people fail to recognize is that there is no conservative movement. There is no real liberal movement. There's just one system we all live in that divides and conquers us by pandering, different sets of lies to different groups. And here, even in this reporting, he's sure to write conservative media. Because this is what Daily Kos loves to do. If you get on and listen to their leader, I can't think of his name right now, Marcus Miletus or something like that. Every other word's conservative, right-winger. There's so many liberals out there in this nation that think all that's wrong with the world is the conservatives, the right wing. And there's so many right-wingers who think the only thing wrong in the country is all the liberals and left wing. And again, these people are fighting over nothing, over a fake box they've put themselves in, a box that's been sold to them by the system. All right, let's continue with what he wrote. The reports about my race, about my past, and about the pain I've endured are all lies. My mother is a senior citizen. I refuse to speak in detail about the nature of my mother's past or her sexual partners, and I am gravely embarrassed to even be saying this now, but I have been told for most of my life that the white man on my birth certificate is not my biological father, and that my actual biological father is a light-skinned black man. My mother and I have discussed her affair, She was a young woman in a bad relationship, and I have no judgment. This has been my lived reality for nearly 30 of my 35 years on Earth. So I'm going to pause right there, Truth Seeker. If you want to read the rest of this, you can come here and look it up, just a web search away. What I find interesting about him saying he's 35 years old is that in the reporting we were just listening to with Don Lemon and the woman said that he was 15 in 1997, which was 18 years ago. 15 plus 18 is 33. He could have possibly turned 16 later that year, so he could possibly be 34 this year. But if what she was reporting off her note card is accurate, then this story doesn't add up. And I just make that note because so often times the details in these stories don't add together. Sure, it could have been a possible mistake, but I suspect that this error in reporting is because this story really is truly all made up. And this person, Shaun King, is an actor agent in the media, just as Rachel Dolezal was, which we'll get to. But more importantly, with regards to him not knowing who his true father is, I know that this happens a lot. My own father does not know who his father is. His mother, he knows who his mother is, but for all of his life, his mother's told him she doesn't know who the father is. And when my father was about 30, 31 years old, 32, somewhere in there, his mother told him that his father was a Jewish man named Greenblatt. That caused my dad to go look up the name Greenblatt everywhere he could and call every Greenblatt family he could get in touch with to see if anybody knew anything. His mother ended up telling him she lied and that the Greenblatt story wasn't true either. So, my point is there's a lot of us out there who don't know who our relatives are. My dad doesn't know who his father is. That means I don't know who my grandfather is. So it happens. It's possible to be going through this world with a false understanding of who your parents are. But wouldn't put it past this media to use that very real or very possibly real scenario as part of their covered up lie. And here's what I'm talking about, Truth Seeker. All throughout history, the numbers 42 and 59 have been coded on Black Americans. They just put up the name of his wife, Ray King. Ray King is a name with 42 gematria. One of these numbers stamped on blacks over and over in America and in Africa. Look at the gematria of the most hateful word towards black people in this nation. Breaks down to 597759, which when you sum totals 42 with a double 59 coding inside. His wife, Ray King, has 42 gematria. He himself has a name that has 59 gematria, just like the name Rachel Dolezal. Rachel Dolezal. In simple English gematria, Rachel Dolezal is 122, another number we're seeing coded into a lot of divisive stories right now. It's just like the name Rodney King, which is 59 the small way and 122 the big way. Rodney King was born on April 2nd, 4-2, a lot like the number 42. The Rachel Dolezal story came out of Washington State. Washington is the 42nd state. With regards to Rodney King, name gematria 59, born April 2nd. He died at the age of 47 on the date of June 17th, which is now known as the date of the Charleston church shooting. Another atrocity committed against black Americans coded by the numbers. And with regards to Rodney King, he was beaten on the date of March 3rd, 3-3. He was beaten by the LAPD, who have simple English gematria of 33, just like the word police has Pythagorean gematria. And so often the police are central in these stories of racial hatred and racial division, just as the KKK used to once be. K's the 11th letter, the KKK is the 33. And the reason I bring this up is because the phrase race war has gematria of 33. And in all of these stories of black injustice, the number 33 is heavily coded. Last year, the Michael Brown shooting was so heavily coded with 33. Look at the gematria of Black Lives, Truth Seeker. 33. And with the S exception, 42. In the United States, the most hateful word for black people's nigger. In South Africa, the most hateful word is kafir, which has 33 gematria. 33 and 42 between the two of them. There's also a K exception, so kafir can also be 42 as well as 33. Even things such as brothers has gematria of 42. This 59 and 42 stamping is no joke. Even think about the white rapper Eminem. Granted, he wasn't the first ever white rapper, but he was the first ever white rapper with mainstream major success. And look at the gematria of his name, putting this number on him, just like the word cracker. We'll get more to these numbers, Truth Seeker. But look at this. Shaun King first addressed the public about his race on the date of August 19th, 2015. This is the date that there was another shooting in Ferguson. Supposedly a 9-year-old girl was killed. A shooting in St. Louis. I talked about how these stories were coded with the number 42, just like Ferguson. Look at this. August 19th, 2015, a date with 42 numerology. Just like Black Lives, just like the number stamped all over black Americans. Of course, the first black baseball player in the white major leagues wore the number 42. Just talked about his wife's name again, how she has the 42 gematria, he has the 59 gematria. It is the media that instigates this division more than any other thing on the planet. George Soros is a media billionaire. He runs Democracy Now!, alternative media. Look, he gave $33 million to the Black Lives Matter movement. And again, Black Lives has gematria of 33. He likes the code the 33 and all his doings. His main anchor on Democracy Now! Is Amy Goodman. Goodman, a 33 name. The problem with Democracy Now! Is they carry all these hoaxes, all these divisive stories as if they're real news, just like the mainstream media does. All part of the agenda you can see through once you know how to read the code. Again, we just had the Rachel Dolezal story recently. Look at these headlines. Rachel Dolezal appearance blackface. Blackface has gematria of 44. And the thing about 44 is it's the kill number in simple English gematria, just like the kill number is 59 in Jewish gematria. And think about how 59 is stamped all over black Americans throughout history. Show you this real quick, Truth Seeker. The word Negro, gematria of 59. The word slave, gematria of 59. The music blues, 59. It should be noted that Motown records came out in the year 59. So did Miles Davis. Miles Davis in Pythagorean gematria sums to 59. The king of Motown was Marvin Gaye before his murder. Look at Marvin Gaye's birthday, April 2nd, 42. This number stamped on black people, along with 59. Motown came out in 59. Marvin Gaye was murdered the last day of being 44 years old. The last day of being 44. Again, think about how these numbers are connected to kill. 44 and 59, which Motown came out in. He was the king of Motown. Sam Cooke was murdered at the age of 33. So many musicians killed by the numbers, by these numbers coded into the racial division throughout history. And with regards to racial division, think about the name Rachel. Rachel Dolezal, 59. Story comes out of the 42nd state, Washington state. She attended Howard University, which has gematria of 33. 33, the number of the race war. Howard is a traditionally black university. Shaun King supposedly went to Morehouse, another traditionally black school. Morehouse has the gematria of 47, another important number to the Zionists, showing how these people might truly be Zionist agents, even used against their own well-being and used as agents for everyone's or against everyone's well-being, used to everyone's detriment. The mainstream media loves to code the number 113 in their hoaxes, and right now we're getting a lot of black and white hoax stories. Notice how even black and white has the gematria of 113. So interesting. Spokane's on the coordinates of being on the 47th parallel north. The name Rachel has simple English gematria 47. Morehouse has gematria 47, where Shaun King went to school. Rodney King died at the age of 47, supposedly. Not long after turning 47. Over and over, Truth Seeker, these same numbers. Now look at this. We recently got the story of the Disruptors, this faction of Black Lives Matters, who's going out and making their voice heard. These people were showing disrupting Bernie Sanders in Seattle. Look at this, Truth Seeker. I'll show you how these stories are created by the numbers time and time again. The Disruptors has gematria of 66 and 84, and this story is in response to how Ferguson changed America. Both Ferguson and Missouri have gematria of 42, put it together 84. And this story of the Disruptors is coming out of Ferguson. What I'm showing is how it's all synced up by these special numbers. With regards to 66, it's other gematria. If you write out 33, it sums to 66. In the Michael Brown story and more, the numbers 33 and 66 were coded heavily. From CNN's reporting on the Disruptors, they give us the main character, Charlene Carruthers. C's the third letter, so 3-3. Notice her name gematria. Charlene Carruthers sums to 89 and 98. Her story is in response to what happened to Michael Brown. Michael Brown was shot on August 9th, which can be written as 8-9 or 9-8. Are you seeing it, Truth Seeker? Michael, Darren, police, Black Lives, KKK, and more, all 33, all racially divisive, or all part of racially divisive stories. And also, as I routinely assert, these agents that are used by these Zionists seem to come out of Chicago the majority of the time. It is insane. It makes me think we truth seekers, maybe we should set up camp in Chicago with the purpose of ousting the people who are behind this agenda. They are somewhere in Chicago, these people, recruiting youth, turning them into the agents they become. Who named Charlene Carruthers? Some Zionist agents, that's who. And if you think this is any joke, Truth Seeker, we're looking at the image of the person who shot Michael Brown. This was the image put out by the media. Notice he has on a brand new t-shirt with the number 42 on. This was given to him to put on for this photo that was put out by the mainstream media. Notice his shirt says blues. Remember what blues is. Remember the gematria of blues, Truth Seeker. 59. So you know what this shirt secretly says? It secretly says nigger killer. Nigger killer. That's what these sick Zionist puppies are up to. If you learn to read their numbers, you can see through everything they're doing. Darren Wilson shot Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. 5 and 9, Truth Seeker, as in 59, are the only two numbers with 42 gematria. Black History Month is the only month with 42 gematria. February 28th, the last day of February, is the 59th day of the year. It is the Freemasons, it is the Zionists who have done this to us. They have given us our calendar, they have given us our language, they have programmed us since birth. Divide and conquer, all for their benefit, all for their rule. It is the Zionists and the Masons who are behind this, and they do everything by the numbers, Truth Seeker. This is simple English gematria right here. Notice how Ferguson, Zionism, and Masonry are all the same. Missouri has simple English gematria of 123, like the word conspiracy. Ripe for a conspiracy, Truth Seeker. And that's why they've taught the brain-dead masses not only to divide over race, but to hate the word conspiracy. You say conspiracy in this world, and most people instantly shut down and go into dismiss mode. People who suck up this fake, false media. I can't tell you how many people in my life living up here in Seattle love the Daily Coast, think this is the greatest information in the world, and think I'm completely insane. Isn't it sad? I put out truth, I show people what's really going on, but they want to cling so tightly to the lies. And this is what has to happen, stop for us as a society. You know, those Black Lives protesters who came up to Seattle and said they did what they did to expose the liberals who don't seem to care about race? In a way, I know there's a lot of truth to that, because Seattle is a city that is segregated to this day. At Dearborn Avenue, south of Dearborn, is where all the blacks and minorities live, and north of that is where the white population is. And Seattle prides itself as being a liberal city, but these people turn out everything that really matters and invest all their energy in fighting conservatism, a false battle. So I hope you learned something here. Hope you can see what's really going on. From Shaun King to Rachel Dolezal to Rodney King to Freddie Gray to Trayvon Martin to Michael Brown to Sean Bell to Sandy Bland to Samuel DuBose to all the names I forgot to mention. All of these stories are by the exact same numbers I've talked about in this post. 33, 42, 59, every single one of them. Because they're all fake stories, they're all racially divisive stories, they're all part of the Zionist Masonic propaganda. And if you're in the Black Lives Matter movement, you really need to wake up, because that's a movement meant to destroy black people. It was never intended to help black people. You can listen to people like Joe Madison on the radio talk about how great Black Lives Matter is. Guess what the gematria of Joe Madison is? This black radio show host out of Washington, D.C. 42. So if you're out there, Joe, time to wake up. Time to recognize what's been stamped on you and what you're contributing to by not thinking clearly, by not seeing the truth of what is being done. Even if Black Lives Matter was a sincere movement and Shaun King was a sincere person, it shouldn't matter what his race was. Any person of any race can stand up for anybody else of any race. All right, Truth Seeker, until next